Yes, hello everyone, good morning. Yes, good morning everyone. Am I audible to you? Yes, Ashwini, good morning once again. Am I audible to you? Yes, Sandeep, hello. Okay, let me introduce myself as my name is Harshvardhan Singh, and on this platform I'm going to teach you history, all the aspects of history, international relation, history optional, and economics. I'm having 8-year experience in the field of civil services as an educator. Okay, yes, everyone. Okay, Bhanupriya joined. Nilesh, yes, Shabnam, good morning. Okay, so those who haven't taken subscription, please take subscription of Unacademy. It will help you a lot. It is one of the best platform available at lower cost at your doorstep. We have more than 15,000 courses, and we have option of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, but I insist you to have a subscription of 12 months, and we provided the subscription of 12 month as well as 24-month in plus and iconic. Use my code Harshv10 so that you will get the discount and you considered as my students. Okay. So in the last lecture we discussed about Indo-Nepal relations. So quick recap of last lecture, and sorry for inconvenience was because sudden disruption in the network and we lost the connectivity. Okay. Okay, so we mentioned in the last lecture that Indo-Nepal relation. Indo-Nepal relation, as we know that our relation with the Nepal is developed for a long time, and our relation is based on friendship. Yes, our relation is based on friendship, and we signed the treaty with the Nepal Friendship Treaty. India supported Nepal in all the aspects, but in recent times, India and Nepal relation changed a lot. There were several reasons for that. The first most important reason, as we mentioned, that is transition, democratic transition. Democratic transition is going on. Sometimes one political party, means basically Nepali Congress work, other party, that is Communist Party, then Maoist Party is also there. So this democratic transition also changed. Second factor affects the India's relation with the Nepal, that is there was economic blockade, and this economic blockade worsened our relation with the Nepal, because for 6 months economic blockade was there, and before that in Nepal was totally dependent on India for basic things. The third important aspect, and that is China. Chinese intervention in Nepal creates our relation bitter with the Nepal. Clear? This economic blockade provided the China an opportunity to enter into Nepal, and now they are supporting Nepal. That is, China is supporting Nepal in such a manner that Nepal is having close connection with China, and they prefer China over India. So such type of aspects are there. So we discussed all these things in previous lecture. Why China is interested in Nepal we mentioned earlier, though I'm repeating it. First point, that is China wants to replace India as a strategic key partner. And why it is so? Because Nepal is just a puppet for China. China want to encircle India, and why they want it, as I mentioned, that in this century China and India are two emerging economic superpower. Emerging, as I mentioned. China is ahead of us, no doubt, but India is still performing well. Sorry, was performing well. Right now, due to lockdown and all, our condition is worse. So China is performing well, India was performing well. So that's why China is having problem with the India. They don't want any competitor in Asian continent. China wants to be superpower. And basically everybody knows that China's intention is very clear. They want to take the position of USA. So that's why aggressive policy, aggressive economic or political policy they are following. So the main impediment in their path is their neighbor country, that is India. So that's why they want to encircle India in all the manner, either through politically, either economically or strategically. So right now they are using Nepal as their tool. Clear? So the main intention is basically to encircle India. Clear? Next thing, that is China signed a trade and transit agreement with the Nepal, and why it is so? Because this opportunity provided by India only. And why I mentioned economic blockade is the biggest blunder, and it was supported by India as well, because this economic blockade was basically by Mahadeshis, Nepali Mahadeshis, but Indian government also supported it, so that creates a problem. Next, China is going to establish a railway network in Nepal. This is also a matter of concern because China can easily transfer their military and other supplies from Tibetan region to Nepal, and from Nepal they can attack. Means basically China wants to attack Nepal, sorry, attacks India from all the sides. Clear? Next, a pact of joint military exercise. It is basically hurting the Indian interest. As I mentioned earlier in the last lecture also, the Gorkha regiment. The Gorkha regiment is the most important regiment in Indian army. Gorkhas are serving Indian army. Along with that, I mentioned earlier also that Nepalese army trained by Indian army. Their general, military general is an honorary general in Indian army as well. So such type of close cooperation between Indo and Nepal was there. But what happened? That joint military exercise is symbolic thing that Nepal is moving away from India. Next, Nepal backed the BRI project. Yes, and we ask you why we are opposing, because Nepal is an independent country. They can follow their own policy and all. This BRI project is not for the welfare of Nepal. It is just for the welfare of China. And you know that this BRI project, there are many experts suggested that this is a Chinese policy of new colonialism, means by providing debt to the non-capable countries, and when these countries are not in a position to pay back, then this is act as a debt trap, and China is going to control that particular country in economic terms. So that's why India doesn't want Nepal to do so, because India and Nepal is having friendship. Next, that is China is providing broadband internet connectivity to Nepal and to end India's monopoly over it. I ask you why it is so. What's the problem with that? Because I mentioned this broadband connectivity means basically we're talking about internet, and if China is going to provide internet, you know that Chinese internet is not having freedom. They are controlled by the government, and you know that these medium, this electronic medium and basically social platform are so dangerous that this tool can be used against India as well as against other countries. Clear? Right now, China wants that India-Nepal relation should be worsened, and this internet can help a lot. And the best example is of fake news. And victim is not Nepal. India is a victim of that. Because of this WhatsApp university messages, people knows everything. They knows everything, who was the prime minister, who was the chief minister, and why that person should be in all. Such kind of general knowledge is provided at a free of cost, and along with that, they know the celestial bodies and all, and with every custom they find the science. Clear? Through that WhatsApp messages. Clear? So you know how dangerous it is, and India doesn't want Nepal to be fall into that trap. So we mentioned right now result of Chinese intervention. Chinese intervention, of course, this is true. Encircling India, India losing its economic hold over Nepal. Yes, Indian monopoly. Next, rift in Indo-Nepal relation, and finally, dominance of China increase over Nepal. So that is the significance of Chinese intervention in Indo-Nepal relation or in Nepal, and it is a matter of concern for India. And I told you yesterday only why it is matter of concern for us, because we have open border. Yes, we have open border, visa free travel, and along with that, Nepal is a neighboring state, and India doesn't want Nepal to be used as a tool by China to attack India. Clear? So these are the matter of concern for India. Now we are going to start bilateral relation with Bhutan, Indo-Bhutan, as this map suggests you of Indo and Bhutan thing. That is, India shares border with Bhutan. How many Indian states shares border with Bhutan? Yes, my basic question to all of you, as you are too smart enough, and I considered you all are mm, very much interested in geography as well. So basic question to you, how many Indian states shares the border with Bhutan? And those who want to be over smart, so I just want to tell you one thing, that UPSC is not going to allow mobile phones or Google in the examination hall. So if you know it, very well. If you don't know it, just try to guess. Okay, do not use Google to find out how many states shares the border with India. And one more thing, those who join for this lecture only, I just want to tell you one thing. This is an interactive session. This is not a one-way communication. Clear? So I'm asking the question and I'm expecting the answer from you. At the same time, I'm expecting the question from your side and I'm providing the answer. It's my duty. Clear? And please do not feel any burden while asking the question. Some of you might get confused that, or some of you might have a tension that how can we ask the question, whether my question is silly or all the questions are silly. All questions are silly, so don't worry about that. But if you're not going to ask the question, you will not get the answer for it. So feel free, ask free. Okay. So as Sankalpa said 4 state, Vanupriya said 4 state. Please let me know the name of it. It is just a half work of it. As it is just a half work. 4 state. Okay. Namely. Hmm. Yes, please tell me the name. Ashwini said Assam. Assam. I don't know whether it is right or wrong. Whatever you are going to say, I agree with that. then West Bengal, then Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. Are you sure? Yes, are you sure? Sikkim, of course. Here it is Sikkim. Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, West Bengal, Sikkim. Here is Sikkim. Here is West Bengal. Yes, those who are confused with the West Bengal, please let me tell you that whenever you are going to think about West Bengal, do not think about Calcutta only, Kolkata. You can think about Darjeeling as well. Clear? So here is the case. Here is Assam and here is Arunachal. Clear? Oh, 100% sure. Very good. Yes, exactly. Thank you for sharing your answer with me. That is Assam, West Bengal, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. So this Bhutan is also having a special relation with the India. Means these two countries, basically Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan. For these two countries, Nepal and Bhutan, India is having special cordial relationship. How it is so? Because if you go through the geographical condition, these two states are having more affinity with India. And why it is so? In the Nepal also we mentioned that is presence of Himalaya. This presence of Himalaya on the northern side of this country is a advantageous thing for India. Why? Because it's easy for Bhutanese to have a connection with India rather than connection with the China because of Himalaya. It's not easy at that time. So since centuries we have a cordial relation with the Bhutan. What happened after 1947 when India got the independence and then our Prime Minister and Minister of External Affairs Jawaharlal Nehru, he realizes the potential of a neighboring state. He knew that if the neighboring states are left alone, then it will be a dangerous thing for our country. And he believed in one thing, that is inclusive growth of this country. Means if India is going to be a strong power, at the same time other countries should have a same role for them. He wants India to represent these countries in international platform. So it was his idea, and that's why after independence we had a cordial relation with Nepal as well as we had a pact with Bhutan. So at the time of independence, Bhutan was a native state, clear, a independent state. Until today, it is an independent monarchy. The independent monarchy was there in Bhutan. It was a choice for us as well. Means as the China adopted the same policy of aggression, they captured Tibet and other areas. Don't you think it was easy for India to capture Bhutan? Yes, my question to you. As China followed the policy of expansion, aggression after their independence, don't you think so? It was very easy for India to capture Bhutan. And some of you know one more thing, that is Sikkim was also Sikkim was also a native state, Himalayan native state. It was an independent state for a long time. Yes. Then we made Sikkim as an associate state, and finally Sikkim became the integral part of India. Don't you think so? It was easy for us to adopt a Chinese policy, China kind of policy to grabbing the territory of other states. Yes, am I audible to you? My questions are audible to you? Yes, everyone? Hello, hello, hello. As am I audible to you? So it is expected from you to reply. Thank you. Yes, then if it is easy for India to capture this area just like China, then why India didn't adopted this approach? That is the case. As you said, it's easy for India to capture this area. Then why India didn't follow that approach? What do you think? Yes, if you said yes, then my next question to you, then if it was very easy for India, then why didn't India capture this territory? What Neeraj said, yes, it was easy, but India never followed the policy from very beginning. But why? Why India didn't follow this policy? Ashwini said India never thought of expansion. Okay, that's it. Yes, I asked this question to you purposely. The reason behind that Indian foreign policy is based on it. India respected the sovereignty of the neighbors. Okay, Preeti said agreement during the independence. The reason, first reason is a historical reason. And this reason is very important for us. Historical reason. India never followed the aggressive approach. Yes, India never followed expansionist policy. That is first thing. Second thing, yes, Sankalpa, policy of mutual coexistence, NAM and all. Yes, exactly. Our visionary leaders, founding fathers and mothers of Indian Constitution, they also respected this thing that we never followed this policy, and because of that reason, Indian foreign policy is designed in the same manner. And the third thing that is policy approaches of Nehru, and you know that India organized Asian Relation Conference in 1947, and in that we mentioned earlier, if you remember, that it is clearly mentioned that India condemns any type of domination of one country over other. Yes, Preeti, India stuck to the principle of NAM. NAM is developed later on. NAM policy developed later on. We are talking about 1947. Since beginning, when Asian Relation Conference was there, we condemned the colonization. We condemned the dominance of one country over the other. Clear? So this policy, this mutual coexistence, mutual respecting the territory, this policy later on gets shaped in the form of NAM. So it is the founding stone of Indian foreign policy. Clear? Clear? Ashwini, whatever you have written, it is the next point of it. Next point. First, we never believe in expansion. That is the core. We respect the mutual coexistence of each other, and all these aspects later on shaped in the form of noun. Now, the background of Indo-Bhutan relation, how Indo-Bhutan relation took the shape. The first thing, that is Bhutan. Everybody knew about the Bhutan, or some of you visited Bhutan as well, and some of you just saw Bhutan through any documentary or in news. So you will easily notice one thing, that Bhutan is a Buddhist country. Yes, Bhutan is a Buddhist country. So how Buddhism went to that area? If it is the same thing with the Nepal, and we mentioned that Nepal is a Hindu country, means earlier it was a Hindu kingdom, right now majority population worship Hinduism. Clear? But Bhutan, it is said that in 8th century AD, one Buddhist monk, namely Padmasambhava, the name of that monk, he went to Bhutan and he established a Buddhist tradition in Bhutan. Monasteries in Bhutan are very famous. The Buddhist monasteries are very famous for that. So he went there, he established the Buddhism there, and you know that India is a land of Buddha. India is land of Buddha and Bhutan is following Buddhism. So it is a religious affiliation between these two countries. Clear? Why Japan is providing so much help to India? Because that time India supported, okay, we are from the land of Buddha. And Japan said, okay, take bullet train. Clear approach. So in the Bhutan, we are having cordial relations. It is a religious angle as well. And Bhutan follow Buddhism. India also follow Buddhism. Buddhism never promote the policy of expansion. Clear? So that mutual love between Bhutan and India is on the basis of Buddhism. That is one of the important aspect in foreign policy. Clear? The next thing, that is after independence, India signed a treaty with Bhutan, and the name of that treaty is Treaty of Perpetual Peace and Friendship. The word is perpetual, eternal, for a long time, peace and friendship. Why it is so? As I mentioned, Jawaharlal Nehru is having vision that he wants these countries, that neighboring states, should not be used as a ground against India. Along with that, he is having another important, or what we can say, the noble idea, that with the development of India, development of these areas should be there. So that's why Jawaharlal Nehru was interested in this policy. So we signed a treaty of perpetual peace and friendship. This treaty helped Bhutan more as compared to India. So please tell me one thing. What do you think? Whether the treaty with the Bhutan is having more benefits to India or more benefits to Bhutan? Yes. Let's take example of Bhutan. Bhutan, everybody knew, a small country is there. If we are signing any treaty with Bhutan, so which country gets more benefits of the treaty? Yes, everyone? Yes, I'm asking you something and I'm expecting the answer from you. Which country gets more benefits? As Ashwini said, Bhutan will get more benefits, okay, than India. Nilesh said, and in the long term, both, okay. Bhutan. Most of you are having convinced with the idea that Bhutan gets more benefit from India, means with this treaty. As all of you know one thing. In international relation, no one is permanent friend and no one is permanent enemy. Generally, the countries are designing their foreign policy on the basis of profit and loss. So as we mention here that in this treaty or with any treaty, it is more beneficial for other countries than India. Then why India still continue that thing? Means it is like this. Means if the relation is balanced, sorry, what I'm saying, if a relation between any two country is balanced, then it is good for both the countries. But our relation with Bhutan is like this. This is Bhutan and this is India. This is equilibrium. Bhutan is a landlocked country. Okay. Good morning. My question to you, if it is like this, India and Bhutan on the same scale, then nobody is having problem. But if it is more beneficial to Bhutan and less to India, then why still India continued that policy? Nilesh said, Big Brother approach. This Big Brother approach is very dangerous. Nowadays, these neighboring states are not happy with that. And why should a Big Brother approach? Generally, Big Brother approach is used in negative sense. Yes, Big Bro approach is basically used in negative sense, not in a positive sense. There are very few people are fortunate that their big brother and sisters are benevolent in nature. But most of the examples in the world that big brother or sister are not benevolent. They snatch the things from their younger siblings. Yes, everyone. My question to you is very basic. If it is not beneficiary for India, then why India continue the same approach with Bhutan? Sankalpa said peace for bordering area. Okay. Hmm. Don't you think you have your own opinion? Everybody should have own opinion. Please express yourself. What do you think? And I'm here to read whatever you are going to write. So what's the problem with you? Hmm. A very common sense. Let's take example of you and one particular person. Here is you and here is another person. You made a pact with this person. Clear? You made a pact with this person. This person is selling a product to you for 100 rupees, and in return he is going to purchase a thing for 10 rupees from you. Don't you think it's a disadvantageous thing for you? What location wise it is important? Okay, Bhutan serves as a buffer between India and China, so that's important. It said to have a good neighborhood. Ah, 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 good neighborhood. Neighbors are always too good. Preeti said, as well as economic sense, Bhutan provides a market for Indian products. The first thing, as I knew this thing, so that's why I asked this question to you. I know that you are not in a position because you are not going to think the basic idea. You always think on the peripheral thing. First thing, it is a friendship treaty. And if you are having a friend is a different, colleague is a different, and known person are too much different. If you know the friend concept is there is no business in the friendship. No tally is there in the friendship. It is not give and take policy that I gave you chocolate, you have to give me chocolate. It is not at all the case. Friendship is always based on mutual respect. It is not based on give and take policy. Benefits and losses are never considered in that. Preeti said that it is the source of rich power. Yes. Whatever you said, that is true. That is true. The first and most important aspect is a friend. When you consider any person as a friend, or when you consider any country as a friend, then we are not going to think about profit and loss. That is the first thing, a very basic thing. Clear? Friendship treaty. Friends, so that's why no thinking. Second most important thinking is, as the Sankilpa mentioned earlier, that peaceful neighbor. Peaceful neighbor is always a beneficial thing for development, because if you are having a problem with your neighbor, then every day you have to fight with that person, and it creates a problem for you. It irritates you, and India doesn't want to irritate herself. So that's why peaceful neighbor is required. Third point I mentioned earlier, that is, it should not, if it is a friend, if any particular country is a friend country, then that country is not going to allow any anti-India activity. Am I right or wrong? Am I right? Let's take example of you and your friend. If you're a best friend, then is it possible that you are going to allow third person in your area or in your place to hatch a conspiracy against your friend? It's not possible. So that's why peaceful neighbor is required. Along with that if the friendship pact is there, then you are not going to allow that any other third country to act against your friend. Clear? That is also important. Clear? Next thing, that is the fourth thing. What you have mentioned is as Nilesh mentioned, strategically important. Strategically important. Why it is so? As you know that if you go through the map, that 4 Indian states are connected with Bhutan. Along with that, on the other side, Bhutan is sharing border with China. So some of you mentioned that it acts. Who mentioned that? The buffer state. Somebody mentioned the buffer state. Yes, Preeti mentioned it acts as a buffer state. Yes, of course. So strategically, it is important. Through that area, we can control, or it acts as a buffer between China and India, and buffer should be there. So that is why strategically it is important. The fifth point, as some of you mentioned, I think Preeti mentioned, in economic sense, the market. The market is there for Indian products. Clear? Sixth point, Ashwini mentioned, no, Preeti mentioned, that is hydro power. As many rivers emerge in Bhutan, Bhutan is having huge resource of energy, water energy, hydroelectric power project. So that's why it's a beneficial thing for you. At present, India getting less benefits to this thing, but these are the benefits which are more worthy than profit and loss. In economic terms, India is not getting that much as compared to Bhutan. In economic terms, Bhutan is getting much more than India. But in other terms, in the political terms, in the strategic terms, India is also benefited from it. So that's why I mentioned, if the word is friendship, then it is beyond the economic terms. Clear? Do you think so? We have the same approach with the China. Do you really think so that India and China is having same relationship as India and Bhutan? Yes. Do we have the same relationship with the China? Hmm. Do you really think so that India is not at all thinking profit and loss with the China? No, it is not at all the case. Our relation with the China is totally based on profit and loss. Clear? It is based on real polity. It is not based on idealism. Clear? That is the difference. So that's why Bhutan and Nepal are friends. So I think this point is clear to all of you. Okay. Next. So in 1949, India signed a treaty, and that treaty is Treaty for Perpetual Peace and Friendship. I'm going to tell you what is that in that treaty and all in the next thing. So this background is basically important to understand present Indo-Bhutan relationship. Clear? So this treaty was signed in 1949, just after independence of India. Clear? And when we signed this treaty, at that time monarchy was there. Next, because of this treaty, Bhutan gets more advantage. The first thing, that is in 1968, diplomatic relation between India and Bhutan established an Indian resident at Thimphu, the capital of Bhutan. Indian resident means basically we can mention in common word, we can say that diplomat or ambassador, our ambassador in Bhutan. Clear? So it is a diplomatic relation also started developing with that country. Means we considered Bhutan as an equal, not as a subdued. Clear? Because of India's friendship with Bhutan, Bhutan gets a membership in United Nations. In 1971, Bhutan gets a membership in United Nations, and India supported that idea. Clear? And why? Because in the NAM also India supported international institutions. And why these international institutions are important? Because small countries like Bhutan and other, they do not have any voice, or they do not have any stake against the powerful countries like China. So that's why these organizations are important, and India knew this thing. So India supported this idea of Bhutan to get a membership in United Nations. And finally in 1971, because of India's help, Bhutan gets a membership. In 2007, and I was a person who witnessed everything when I was just about your age. In 2007, suddenly the king realizes there is a need of introduction of monarchy. Sorry, introduction of democracy. Monarchy was there for a long time, and you know that in 2006 there was a change in relationship between Nepali monarchy and people. You know that Nepal monarchy was there, and finally in 2006 onward they started abolishing monarchy and all. So as ideas doesn't have borders, idea can transfer from one area to another area without visa and passport. Yes. So this king realizes that there is a need to introduce democracy. So 2007 Bhutan introduced democracy and election took place. At that time also India supported this move and India provided the background for it. As India is world's largest democracy, we had ample experience of democratic reforms, so that's why we supported this idea. And 2007 Bhutan converted themselves from monarchy to right now democracy, but constitutional monarchy is there, king is there, but all the activities are under parliament. Next, after this democratic experiment, this treaty also revised, that Treaty of Perpetual Peace and Friendship also revised in 2007. Clear? Till this point, any question? Till this point, any question? Any problem to understand what I am saying? Yes, anybody is having any problem? Okay, so I don't think so you have a problem. Next thing. Good. Now regarding the treaty, this treaty, that is Treaty of Perpetual Peace and Friendship. This Treaty of Perpetual Peace and Friendship. Clear? So in this treaty there was an Article 2, and under this article it was agreed by Bhutan that India is going to guide Bhutan in foreign relation, foreign policy. And why it is so? Because Bhutan was a small country, Himalayan kingdom was there, and they do not have that much access and experience of foreign relations. So that's why at that time the monarchy agreed that India is going to support, India going to guide. The word is guide. Remember, the word is guide. Guided by India with respect to foreign policy. It was agreed. But in 2007, when Bhutan adopted a democracy, at that time this word guided is against the democratic approach. So that's why when they revised the treaty in 2007, they amended the Article 2, and after that what they did, they replaced the word guide by cooperation, to cooperate closely with each other on issue related with the national interest. Don't you think so? When word is guide, that means it is a top to bottom approach. When the word guide is there, it is top to bottom guide approach. But when the cooperation is there, it is an approach of equality. Clear? So in 2007, when they amended Article 2 of Treaty of 1949, at that time they replaced the word guide with the cooperation, to cooperate closely with each other on the issue of international interest. Clear? Yes, exactly. Cooperation means equality. The next thing, that is India helped Bhutan to provide training to their military officers. That is also the important aspect of it. The Treaty of 1949, the most important aspect, that is Bhutanese army is trained by Indian army. Do we have any reference that Bhutanese administrative officers, police officers are also trained by Indian administrative services or police services? With, as we mentioned about army, so whether same thing is applicable in civil services also? Yes, whether the same thing is applicable here? Really? As you said, yes, maybe you know that, maybe you know that. Let's find out. It's those who don't know, just check it whether Indian administrative means basically civil services also train the Bhutanese officers, the civil servants. Just check it. One more question to you. Can Bhutanese national, means whether Bhutanese national can appear for UPSC civil services examination? Yes. Whether Bhutanese nationals can appear for UPSC civil services examination? Yes. Yes, they can appear for all. Yes, they can appear for all. Means they can become IAS, IPS, IFS, etc. Really? Just general knowledge question. As Ashwini said, IAS and IPS is excluded from it. Okay. So those who don't know, please find it out whether it is allowed or not, as you are appearing for civil services examination. So it's a very basic thing expected from you. You should know about that particular exam and examination pattern. Maybe when you are going to appear for interviews, maybe they can ask a person like me if it is there, and that person is going to ask such questions. So at least you should know, when you are appearing for any examination, you should know the all aspects of that examination. Clear? So those who don't know, please find out. It is given in your notification. Next thing, through this treaty, India and Bhutan have an open border and two-way visa free travel. Means it's not difficult for India to get a visa, and it's the same thing for Bhutanese. Do you know one more thing, that previously Bhutanese students gets easy access to Indian educational institution, but whether is it possible for them to get that access right now? Earlier Bhutanese students, they don't have what you can say, that much powerful educational institution at their places, so India is most favorite destination for them to have to pursue higher education. So do you really think so this thing is continued at present as well? Yes, everyone. And this question is also important because this is also a matter of concern between bilateral relation. Yes, anyone? I think so most of you are not aware of it, that students from Nepal and Bhutan can pursue higher education in India. For your general knowledge, I just want to tell you one more thing. There was a president of Afghanistan, means when the democracy established in Afghanistan, one president was there and he graduated from India. He came to India for pursuing higher education. Think about it. Next thing, a most important aspect of Indo-Bhutan bilateral relation is in the form of hydro diplomacy. This hydro diplomacy, as I mentioned, Bhutan is having huge resources, and this resources is basically which energy? Electric energy in the form of hydroelectric project. Hydroelectric project. As most of the rivers, Himalayan rivers, is having huge resources. So this is an important aspect of relation between India and Bhutan, that is hydro diplomacy. How it is so? So here the first thing, there are three projects. Till now there are three projects already accomplished by India in Bhutan. It is a joint venture. Yes, Ashwini said scholarship, Preeti said scholarship, Nilesh said aid. Yes, yes, exactly. We provided them aid because they don't have education institution that at par with the international standards. So that's why we provided them an opportunity. So here the three projects are already developed with the assistance of India. That is the Thala project, Chuka project, and Kurichu. These are the three projects already developed, and 10 more projects are agreed. Means Bhutan agreed to develop 10 more projects with help of India. And out of these 10 more projects, two are already under construction, and these two are very important. UPSC asked the question over the name of these two projects. Pronunciation is very difficult. It's not so simple. As the pronunciation is different from person to person, as I'm not using the Bhutanese language, so I can pronounce like this. Pun Sang Chu. Pun Sang Chu. Whatever may be the pronunciation is that. So these two projects are under construction out of 10, and India set a target of developing hydroelectric project of 10,000 megawatt by 2020. 2020 सुना सुना सा लग रहा है. Have you heard about 2020? Oh yes, this year is 2020. 2020. And it is not going to over. Still the second wave is coming. 2020, the name is 2020, but it doesn't have that much impact of 2020. It is not going to end. So, as we mentioned, both countries set a goal of 10,000 megawatt by 2020. It is a goal. Do you really think so that India is about to achieve this goal of 10,000 megawatt? Yes, my basic question to you. Do you really think so that India is about to achieve this goal of 10,000 megawatt by 2020? Are we in a position to develop such thing by 2020? So answer is of course not. It was a goal set much before. It was a Yes, Akshay, exactly. It was a goal set much before, but due to the pandemic, it's not possible for to achieve. And even if the pandemic was not there, still we are not in a position to achieve that because lots of problems are there. But at least we agreed that we are going to develop electricity of the capacity of 10,000 megawatt. Clear? Okay. The security concern, the another first we mentioned Indo-Bhutan relation, the one important aspect that is hydro-diplomacy. Second, security. Security is very much important aspect in Indo-Bhutan relation. It is not the security in between India and Bhutan. It is the security of Bhutan from China. The most important enemy is China. How both countries maintain a high level of coordination over the security issues. As we know that India in 1949 signed a pact with Bhutan. That pact is revised in 2007, but still this idea is the basis of it, that is friendship, peace and friendship. That's why both countries maintain high level of coordination over security issues. But why it is matter of concern? Because recently the China is following the aggressive policy on the bordering areas, and very best example is Doklam. You know that China is in Indian context, China is adopting an aggressive approach in Jammu and Kashmir, even in Himachal also, even in the side of Bhutan as well as from the side of Arunachal Pradesh. They were trying hard in all the aspect. They developed military bases, they constructed the road, they are constructing the railway network, everything. Idea is very clear. He means was China wants to encircle India at all cost, and they want all the other countries to act as a tool. But Bhutan is exception to it. Why? Because of this friendship nature. And Bhutan also realizes one thing: the intention of China is not good. It's beneficial for them to stay with India rather than China. Clear? So it is a matter of concern for both India and Bhutan, that is Chinese aggressive policy. So Bhutan and India is trying to prevent the unilateral changes by the China. As China is adopting aggressive approach, that means they are going to change it unilaterally without the consent of the stakeholder. That's why these two forces, Bhutan and India, joined together to tackle the unilateral aggression by China. Clear? Next, and recent example of this Chinese is Doklam. Have you heard about Doklam? In the Chumbi Valley. Doklam in the Chumbi Valley. It is a recent example of tense relation between Bhutan and China, and India played a key role in that. What exactly it is? Here is a map. Yes, Neeraj says the sleeping dragon is awakening. Here is a map between India, China and Bhutan, and here is the location of Chumbi Valley, and Dokalam is a place near to it. Yes, Akshay, I'm taking the lecture on this channel on daily basis at 11 o'clock. I'm taking lecture of world history 8:30 to 10:30 and 11 to 12:30 or 1 o'clock. I'm conducting a lecture of international relations. So here is the example of Chumbi Valley. Here is the Chumbi Valley, as you all suggested, as I asked you how many Indian states shares the border. Yes, you said Sikkim, then West Bengal, Assam, and here Arunachal Pradesh. See how smart you are. You explain it very well. Now, what is the question here? As you know, this black is basically the international border. This black lines are showing the international border, and this red line is basically China claimed as their own territory. And this is the Chumbi Valley. Here is the Dokalam. Here is the Dokalam, and why this place is important for Indian point of view, because just closely observe it, you will get to know that if any country, and basically if China is having access to this area, then don't you think so it is easy for them to capture Sikkim? Or basically we can mention their intention is to end this thing. Wait a minute. Yes, if China is going to capture this area, then it's very easy for China to cut off this chicken neck. This area is known as chicken neck in Indian point of view. It's very easy for them to cut India's ties with northeastern states in case of aggression, and that's why India and Bhutan opposing this thing. Clear? So this is the problem why India is basically angry, or India is stopping, because if right now India allow them to enter into this area, then it will be a problematic situation for India. Clear? Because this is the only land access. This area, this chicken neck, this area is known as chicken neck, is the only access, land access to northeastern states. So that's why it is most important for India, and China knew this thing and China wants to strike it down. That's why India and Bhutan combinedly resisting the Chinese against this unilateral aggression. So Dokalam issue. So what was Dokalam issue? So first point we mentioned that China claimed the territory of Bhutan in Chumbi Valley. But Bhutan refused that. This area we mentioned, this area that China claimed, this area is basically theirs. Bhutan refused that, and at the same time India supported the claim of Bhutan. Along with that, Indian army, here we mention Indian army, confronted the Chinese forces to make the unilateral changes in the tri-junction border area. Confronted. No, you have to stop here. Indian army direct confrontation with the Chinese army just to check, to stop unilateral changes in this tri-junction area, because this area is important for Indian point of view as well. So what's the significance of it? So we already mentioned why China wants that area, because in the future point of view, what China wants to cut off the ties of Indian mainland with the northeastern state in case of conflict, and India doesn't want to provide that opportunity. For Chinese significance, they want to cut in case of any conflict in future, but in Indian point of view, we do not want to provide them opportunities. So Doklam issue was one of the most, what we can say, an important issue during recent time between India and China, and it is related with the Bhutan, so that's why we discuss in the Bhutan as well. Along with that, there are some concerns in the Indo-Bhutan relations. Some concerns. So three concerns I mentioned here. The first concern is basically Bhutan's debt to India. How it is so, as we mentioned, I forgot to mention that India supported 5 years plan of Bhutan. Yes, India supported financially as well 5 years plan of Bhutan. So if any country's financial planning is designed by other countries, so you will get to know that that country is not financially sound. Clear? That is clear. But as friend indeed, and we want Bhutan not for economic purpose, but other aspects are also related to it. So that's why India supported all the aspects of Bhutan, including their 5 year plan. Yeah. So it is the case. And why it is a matter of concern for Bhutan? Because Bhutan is under India's debt. The three upcoming projects will cost around 87% of their GDP. Just three projects, three hydroelectric projects cost around 87% of GDP, means they are already in debt, whole GDP. So that is the problem for Bhutan. Along with that, one more concern developed in recent times, and that is related to this, that construction cost of hydroelectric projects double in recent times because of the delay in completion of the project. And if construction cost is doubled, and who is going to pay? Of course, Bhutan has to pay. India is providing in a manner that 25% we are giving in the form of aid, 75% in the form of loan. So if the price increase, who is going to pay? Bhutan. And Bhutan's economic condition is not that much sound. So it is a matter of concern for Bhutan. Next, it is a matter of concern for India as well, that is demarcation of boundary between Bhutan and China is not clear. It is not, these borders are not designed with agreement. These are the traditional borders, and that's why China claimed this territory, Bhutan refused it, and we have to support Bhutan at all cost because we have to stop China as well. Clear? So this is a matter of concern for us. One more matter of concern for Bhutan, and that is dominance of Indian companies. That is also a matter of concern because Indian companies established their control over Bhutan. That is a matter of concern. And one more matter of concern, that these Indian companies em provide employment to Bangladeshi. These Indian companies recruited the Bangladeshi for cheap labor. That is also the matter of concern for Bhutan. One more thing, I just want to share. One more matter of concern, as one more matter of concern is there, and that matter of concern is Bhutanese students didn't get easy admission to India, easy admissions in India as compared to the previous one. Earlier, the Bhutanese student gets admission in our institution very easily, but right now they didn't get that. And because of this reason, external players also played an important role. And this is a matter of concern for India. External players played a role. Like they provided the opportunities to Bhutanese students to learn into their country. Clear? So basically the foreign players are also interested in that area, and it is a matter of concern for India, because when these students came to India, they developed a close relation with the India. But right now, if they are not going to come to our place, maybe their views and ideas change. Clear? Just like Nepalese changed their idea. They thought that India is having big brother approach and they are not acting for the benefits of Nepal. So it might be the case. So it is a matter of concern for India as well. Clear? Clear to everyone? One more thing is important. One more matter of concern is for us, or sorry, from Bhutanese point of view, and that is demonetization. Demo सुना सुना सा लग रहा है. Yes, today onwards it will be worthless piece of paper. Remember this thing, those golden words. Yes. Those golden words change India into new India in all the sense. So this demonetization also matter of concern for both the countries. And why? What happened? Because you know that Bhutan's economy is dependent on India. Clear? And when demonetization happened, the Bhutanese banks were having Indian rupees and they failed to exchange that rupees. They faced lots of problem in that, and because of that Bhutanese banks suffered lot. Bhutanese banks suffered loss. That is the matter of concern for them, including the GST. GST is launched in such a manner, it's half big GST is launched, and that's why Bhutanese business also suffered. Clear? So there are many reasons. These are the whatever the 4 5 points we already mentioned. They are the main cause of concern between India's relation with the Bhutan, but others are also important in that aspect. These are the matter of concern for us. Clear? Yes, everyone? Clear to you? Any doubt? Any question? Yes, everyone? Any doubt or any question? Yes, everyone? Yes, any doubt? Any question? Yes? Do you have any question, any query, any doubt? Any doubt? If it is there, then say yes. If it is not there, then say no. Clear? So, something? Please. Internal security perspective, illicit establishment of military camps also an important concern for both the nations. As Ashwini said, that means basically the she is talking about internal security for illicit establishment of military camps. Illicit means you're Ashwini, you're asking the question related to terrorism. Means whether your question is related to terrorism. It's just like Pakistan. Pakistan is having terrorist camps in their territories, and they refuse that it is not at all the case. Sometimes such news also comes from Nepal also, because these countries are interested in destabilizing India's economy as well as destabilizing the India's integrity. So that's why it is there. But no such case with the Bhutan. There is no terrorist camp in that particular area, and we have so much close relation with each other. We do not allow each other's territory for the what we can say for any anti-national activities. For example, India is not going to allow their territory for any person or any group to use against Bhutan. Clear? No, it is not the case with the Bhutanese thing. Yes, it's not there. It's not a matter of concern. It is a matter of concern in Indo-Nepal relation, but it is not the case with Bhutan. Clear? So I don't think so you have any doubt, any query. Yes, so that's all for today's lecture. Those who want to join, who want to ask any question to me, then this is my Telegram channel, Unacademy _Harsh V10. You can connect me. You are having any problem, any doubt, any question, you can connect with me through this platform, or there are other social media platforms are also available. You can join me over that platform. Yes, so thank you very much for your valuable time. So thank you very much. And yes, one more request is there. Today we are going to conduct a special class at 9 o'clock. Yes, 9 p.m. A special class is on 9 p.m. on app. Yes, and that class is related to American Revolution. Clear? So that class is related to the American Revolution. Please join me at 9 p.m. on the app. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you very much for your valuable time.